Now I'd like to introduce Aaron.
So I wrote down my speech because it's a couple pages, and I didn't want to forget anything. So first of all, thanks everybody for coming out to Elkins Park and making it out on a weekday. Everyone has a job, I imagine, so hard to get out here. So there are many people to thank today, people that have helped make this day happen in one form or another. Out of all these people, the most important and the most deserving of this thanks is my wife, Naomi. Yay! If I were to stand here and today at my son's bris and I'll list the reasons for which he deserves special recognition, I'd ultimately have to find a segue to a bar mitzvah speech. The grace in which she carried our newest addition to the family can't be put into words. And her continued selfless dedication to myself and the other kids, in spite of the challenges pregnancy brings, can't be adequately described. Naomi, the kids, and I thank you. Next, I'd like to thank my parents. If there's one thing I can count on with my parents, it's that I can count on them. They may live only half a mile away, but sometimes it can feel like they live next door. You can read into it what you want. Their frequent drop-offs of their latest cheese purchases for the kids, always being available to babysit at the last second, and countless other acts of kindness, including their recent hosting of our son's Shalom Zachor, do not go unnoticed nor unappreciated. I'd also like to thank, or take more than a moment to recognize my in-laws, Janet over here and Eric over here, in whose home we currently stand. They too have been there for us every step of the way and have made our lives easier in countless ways. Their generosity is unfathomable, and I can't say it enough. I've been blessed with the best in-laws, as I'm sure Ariel can imagine. I'd also like to thank my siblings, my sister Eliza and her husband Adam, who's on the other end of that phone, who came all the way from Maryland for the Shabbat after the birth to make our Shalom Zachor ever more special. Hannah, Naomi's sister, right here, who made it all the way from San Francisco, has been a devoted sister and aunt, and was taking the time out of her busy schedule to be available for us. Pay attention to me. And finally, Naomi's brother, Jacob, and his wife, Ariel, who came all the way from New York with food in tow to enhance our Shabbat together, and has proven to be quite influential on the kids. These are just some of the important people who we and our children are lucky to have in our lives. So it's customary to give a little Devar Torah, something from the Torah, in honor of the child, and that their first event does have some aspects of our culture in it. So I wanted to talk first about that. So we just finished the holiday of Hanukkah, the holiday in which our son was born. He was born on the fourth day of Hanukkah. It's a holiday that commemorates the victory of the Maccabees over Antiochus, ending the oppression of the Jews in ancient Israel. During the time of his rule, Antiochus and the Greeks defiled the Jewish temple and desanctified its religious contents in an effort to demoralize the Jewish people and assimilate them to a life of Hellenism. After their victory, the Maccabees returned to the Jewish temple to restore it to its original holiness in an effort to rededicate it. To their dismay and disappointment, after taking account of the available oil to light the menorah in the temple, only a single jar of undesecrated oil was seen to remain. That amount of oil was estimated to really only light the menorah for one night, but it lasted a full 8 nights, and that's where the miracle of Hanukkah comes in, and that's what we commemorate every year with our lighting of the menorah. So there are two debated schools of thought when it comes to the method of lighting the menorah. I'd also like to thank Hanan, my friend over there, who gave me the idea for this. So two schools of thought when lighting the menorah. So the first is by the way of teachings of Beit Shammai, who says that the proper method is starting off the first night with all 8 candles lit, and every night afterwards you take 1 candle off and you do 1 less candle, with the last night being only 1 lit candle. It is contested by the currently accepted and prevailing method by Beit Hillel, who believe that 1 candle be lit on the first night and 1 additional candle added on each subsequent night, resulting in a full menorah of 8 candles on the 8th night. So the opinion of Beit Shammai stems from the view that the story of Hanukkah is a milestone in a long historical process. The confrontation with the Hellenistic Greek culture and the victory of the Israelites brought about a greater influence of Israel upon the other nations. In light of that view, it is fitting that the nightly consolidation in the number of lights of the menorah should reflect the unification of the nation of Israel and its teachings and influence. While Beit Hillel agreed with the universal mission of the Jewish people, he saw that the inner holiness of Israel can only be accurately measured if an account is taken of all the generations over time. Every generation that affirms its covenant with God contributes to the overall protection of the Jewish people. Despite the importance of the Maccabees' victory and the resulting influence of the Israelites over the world, on the rest of the world, the quantitative advance is still secondary in importance to the qualitative goal. Therefore, on each night we add an additional light to symbolizing the increasing light of Israel. The focus, therefore, being not on the gradual unification and elevation, but on the increasing light emanating from Israel as it intensifies in brightness. So today we named our son David Tzvi. We did so in the memory of loved ones. The first name, David, is named in memory of my father's paternal grandfather, David Rosenthal. He was born in Russia at the turn of the 20th century and was a witness to his own atrocities at the hands of the Russian and Bolshevik revolutions. He ultimately fled the country, and through a tumultuous and challenging journey, he ultimately immigrated to the United States, where he started a family of his own. His short memoir is here if you want to read it. Our son's middle name is Tzvi. He's named after my father-in-law's paternal grandfather, Herschel Wishnia. Herschel is the pet name originating from the name Hirsch, which means stag or deer. The Hebrew version of which is Tzvi. So there's actually a threefer in there. There's the naming of his paternal grandfather, and anybody who knows my in-laws knows that they call each other deer. So in honor of that, we named our child after your pet name.
Oh, that's
Happy coincidence. Though I discourage calling our son deer. Herschel, Eric's grandfather, died in the Holocaust. Like so many of our family members that were taken during that time, we will never get a chance to truly know them. Naomi and I decided to name our son David Tzvi in memory of these two patriarchs of our families, two of the first candles of our respective menorahs that we hope will continue to grow in number and brightness. It is our hope that David Tzvi will lead a life of contribution, adding to and intensifying the brightness of our Jewish heritage and faith as an additional candle to our nation menorah. Thank you. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Very cool.
There's the shaman. There's the shaman right there.
Very funny.